All right, today we're in section 7.6% applications. This is probably one of your more practical lessons. Has anybody ever bought something that was on sale? Right? Has anybody ever bought something from a store? Well, of course you have. So did you know that when you buy something from a store, you pay more for that product than the store paid? Did you know that? That's how they stay in business, right? They pay a certain amount, which we call wholesale price, but then they charge you a percentage more so that they can make a profit, pay their employees and their light bill, and stay in business. All right, so that's what we're going to learn today. We're also going to learn about your tax and your tip at restaurants. Anybody ever eaten in a restaurant? Of course you have. Most of you probably ate at a restaurant last weekend. So, how do you figure out how much to tip and how much your tax is going to be? That's what we're learning today. All right, so in the first example, we have a jewelry example. It says the street vendor buys bracelets from a manufacturer for $7 each. The vendor marks up the price by 150%. What is the retail price? Well, there's two steps here. The first step is to figure out, how much is 150% of $7? But before we can multiply, what do we need to do to our percentage? Turn it to a decimal. So that's why I have 7 times what? 1.5. Okay, and what is 7 times 1.5? What's that going to be? $10.50. But that's not my final answer. That's just step 1. Step 2 would be to figure out my new price, and I would add it back to my original. Why do I add it? Because it's a markup, right? Because they're charging you more than they paid. So we do have to think about this practically also. It's $10.50 plus 7 gives me my total price of $17.50. All right, so let's look at another example, okay? Let's look at, let's just look at the very first one. A street vendor, no, we already did one that's kind of close to that. Well, that's fine. We'll do the first one. Street vendor buys bracelets from a manufacturer for $7 each. The vendor marks up the price by 150%. What is the retail price? Okay, so you're basically doing exactly what we just did, but I just want you to do one on your own. You only have to do the first one. All right, so we take our $7, and now this time, what do we multiply by? $7 times 1.5, 150%, which gives me how much? Wait, was that the exact same one? Oh, boo. Okay, let's do the next one then. Okay, $10 now the bracelet cost. Multiply that by, what's 100% as a decimal or whole number? It's just 1. Okay, so now that's going to be $10 is their profit plus the $10 he paid. Now the bracelet's $20. You guys pretty much get the point? Okay. I added it because it was a markup. Okay, so let's look at the next one. Well, that's pretty much the same thing too. Okay, so when it's a markup, I change the percent to a decimal and I add it back to the original. Now, in example 2, the only difference is, now what do I have? I have a discount. What does a discount mean? I'm going to pay less. Okay, that would be like the worst sale ever if I have to pay more and it's supposed to be discounted, right? Okay, so a discount, I'm following the same procedure. Okay, so pay attention to this and it should make more sense. All right, it says I buy an electronic organizer that is on sale for 15% off the original price of $25. So what is the sale price? Just like in example 1, I take the original amount and I'm going to multiply it by the decimal version of my percentage to figure out how much money is 15% of 25. Okay, so what is 15% as a decimal? 0.15. Very good, 0.15. All right, and I multiply that, 25 times 0.15 is how much money? $3.75. But I'm not done. Now, if this was a markup, I would add it to the original. But since it's a discount, I'm paying less. I need to subtract it from the original. 25 minus 375. Don't forget your dollar in your answer. It's going to be how much? $21.25. Okay? All right, so 2 steps for example 1 and 2. First one, figure out how much that discount or markup is, and then either add it to the original if it's a markup or subtract it from the original if it's a discount. Okay, so now I want you to do this one. Now it's 30% off, and the original price was $17. What is the sale price? All right, so what's my first step? 17 times what? 0.3. Very good. I changed my percent to a decimal. 17 times 0.3 gives me how much? $5.10. So that's my answer? That's how much I paid? What do I need to do now? Subtract it from 17. And I get $11.90. Don't forget that 0 to hold your pennies place, okay? Because I will definitely take off points for that if it's supposed to be in dollar form. All right, who got it right? Good job. Example 3. Now in example 3, this is our restaurant example. So you go out to eat, your food bill is $22. You leave a 15% tip, and your sales tax is 6%. So now you're basically just doing this twice, okay? You're going to take your food bill, which is $22, and you're going to figure out how much of a tip to leave. What do you do to your percentage? Change it to a decimal. Figure out that amount. Then you're going to take your food bill, and you're going to multiply it by the tax percentage. So what's 6% as a decimal? 0.06. Don't forget that extra 0, because otherwise it would be 60%. Okay? Yeah, I know, right? Okay, so now I want you to find the totals for those, and then would you add it back to the original, or would you subtract it? For this. You're going to add, right? I mean, I've never heard of a tax that is taken off your bill. Oh, okay, you're going to give a $5 tip, so I'm going to take it off your bill? No, that doesn't make sense. So your bill is going to be more, after your tip and your tax. So make sure you add it back to the original. Go ahead and finish this one. All right, so what's 15% of 22? $3.30. What's 6%? $1.32. So how do you figure out your total now? You add them all up. $3.30 plus $1.32 plus your original $22 food bill. And your total cost is $26.62. Very good. So this is the work that I want to see on your homework tonight, okay? So if it's asking for tax and tip or whatever it's asking for, I want to see what you're multiplying, what that total is, and then what your final answer is. Think you can do one? All right, let's give it a shot. Bill for your restaurant meal is now $78. So you're either eating somewhere nicer or you've got more people. Okay, but it's $78. You're going to leave a 17% tip and sales tax is 7%. What is the total cost of your meal? All right, so we take our $78, multiply it by 0.17. Everybody know where I got that from? 17%. And then 78 times 0.07. I get those totals. What's my answer? $96.72. All right, awesome. Great job, guys. Okay, one more example. Okay, now in this example, I'm working backwards. Now I know what the retail price is. I know how much they marked it up, but I don't know what they paid for it. So I'm essentially working backwards. Here's how you set it up. There is more or less a formula. You don't necessarily have to write all of this on your work, but I need you to see where it's coming from. So 35 is my total, equals the wholesale price. Okay, so we're going to say wholesale. We'll come up with our variable in a second. Times 100% plus, what is the markup? 80%. Gotta kind of squish it in here. Okay, so whatever it is, I'm going to either add it to 100% if it's a markup, or I'm going to subtract whatever percentage it is from 100% if it's a discount. Does that make sense? So this part depends on if it's a markup, I add. If it's a discount, I'm subtracting from 100. So now, what's 100 plus 80? It's 180%. So let's come up with a variable for wholesale. What do you want to use for wholesale? A W? So W times 180% equals 35. All right, well, what did we do before we can divide? What do we have to do to our percent? Change it to a decimal. And I need to write my number first. Okay, so it's going to be 1.8 W equals 35. And how do I solve for W? Divide by 1.8. 1.8. Okay, and what's it going to be? 35 divided by 1.8 gives me $19.44. Approximately, I did have to round. Okay? About $19.44. So, does anybody remember what I said? What is the only difference here if I'm finding original price and it was a sale? What's the only thing I'm doing different? Do you remember? I'm subtracting that percent from 100, not adding. That's the only difference. Okay, we're about to look at one. But I want you to do one that's pretty much exactly like this. So just different numbers. Okay, furniture store marks up the wholesale price of a lamp by 33%. Retail is $105. What's wholesale? All right, go ahead and solve that one. All right, let's start going over this. Okay, so what's my total? What's my out-the-door price? $105. Okay, so that goes on the other side of the equals. Okay, now, what do I know that the markup percent is? 33%. But what did I tell you have to do to that 33%? You have to add it to 100. Can we assume that you can do that mental math? You don't need to show that? Okay, so we have W times 133%. Everybody understand where I got 133? Okay, but how do I need to write that in order to be able to divide? As decimal. So 1.33 W equals 105. Then what do I do to both sides?
Divide by 1.
Divide. And what'd you get?
$78.95.
Okay, so wholesale was $78.95. All right. So we can think about this logically. If the wholesale price needs to be less than the retail price, right? So if I come up with a price that was more than $105, I know I did something wrong because logically it just doesn't make sense. Now, let's look at it if it was a discount, okay? Go ahead and turn in your books to page 359, number 7. Page 359, number 7. I'm going to show you, this is example 4, but just if it was a discount instead of a markup. Let's read it together. It says, when you use a coupon for 15% off the original price of a headset, you pay $27. So again, $27, that's my final price. But now they want to know, what was the original price of the headset? So using the same format we just learned in example 4, try to figure out the original price. We talked about the difference when it's a discount versus a markup. Let's see how many people can remember, and then we'll go over it. All right, so now, okay, so what's my total? What's my total? $27. Okay, I know I'm finding my original price, so ORG is original. Do I add my percent to 100 or subtract it? I subtract it because it's a discount. What was the percent discount? Minus 15%. Well, what's 100 minus 15? Okay, so it's going to be my original price times 85% equals $27. Now I just need to come up with some kind of a variable for ORG. We'll just use an X. What do I need to do to my percent before I can divide? Change it to a decimal. So 0.85x equals 27, and now it's just smooth sailing. Divide both sides by 0.85. Okay, x equals, yes, that's right. About, now we had to round it because it was a crazy decimal, $31.76. We just round to the nearest penny. Okay, so here's the difference. This is the only difference between what we just did in example 4 on the slide and this. I subtracted my percentage from 100. With the markup, I added it, so I had like 180%. You guys see the difference? So when you're looking for original price, when you're backtracking, you either add it to 100% or you subtract it, change it to a decimal, and then you divide both sides. Okay? So that's how you would do that. I think that's just like number 23 on your homework tonight. If you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 7.6.